this isn't just a humanitarian crisis. It's a
Mm-hmm.
potential economic reset. The government said it's what, a trillion, 1.1 trillion Jamaican, or I think that's about 8 billion US, 7 to 8 billion US dollars in damage from Hurricane Melissa. In that reset, the construction sector,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, is going to eat, right? 30th of October, and only 3 trades happened that day, and they closed at 89 cents on that day. And then you're talking now on Friday, it closing at $1.45.
In the last 3 months, it's up 49%.
Wow. Yeah,
In
look
the
at them.
last year,
July 17, they were
8%.
trading at 56 cents. Now they're $1.18. Hi, Limit Breakers. My name is Dr. Thaon Simms, and welcome to the Limitless podcast. Joining us as always is your co-host, Dr. Matthew Preston. Hail up the people in Matthew.
Hey guys, what's good?
Excellent. And today, in light of all the recent events that have been happening, with Hurricane Melissa and Jamaica, and we have done a previous episode on, post Hurricane Melissa, and just talking generally, like broadly, about the companies that will take us back in terms of like recovery to where we were baseline, and to move us forward and to make us a more resilient society. We wanted to highlight a specific industry, which is the construction industry, and construction adjacent companies. I would say, companies that supply construction material and things like that. So today, that's the sector we'll be focusing on, and I think we have a lot to discuss, because there are quite a few companies in that industry on the JSE, which is good. So yeah, I wanna dive in. How you feeling about this one, Preston?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think for me too, it's weird because I feel like there's the more obvious ones that are construction, and there's the ones that are maybe kind of less obvious,
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I think it will be interesting. Like, I was just going down the list of the different companies, and I was just like starting to do some thinking to be like, okay, what could happen here? What could not happen here,
Yeah. Fully understand that. I mean, we haven't done any real we haven't planned this together, so let's just see how this episode goes. But yeah, today, and in our previous episode, you guys can take a look at it. We spoke about the wreckage of Hurricane Melissa, not just homes and business affected, but the companies that now stand in the middle of a reconstruction wave. So if you guys have been paying attention, you guys know this isn't just a humanitarian crisis. It's a potential economic reset. And so in that reset, the construction sector, I believe, is going to eat, right? Cement, lumber, zinc, PVC pipes, all of those have to move. And so today, we're going to dive into a few companies on the JSE that are tied to this specific value chain. Some are pure plays. Others are, surprises that Preston said. And, let's see how each one of them kind of makes money, and what role they have to play in the whole construction ecosystem, and whether they're positioned to either win or just to survive in the years of rebuilding ahead. So let's jump into it. I think the first company I want to get into is a company that has already done well, and we mentioned it before. It's Atlantic Hardware and Plumbing Company Limited. I think, and I don't know, Preston, if you
that
can
lame
bring up
IPO.
that lame IPO that everyone wrote off. We were probably some of the few people that were very bullish on Atlantic. Like very bullish on Atlantic. And a lot of, even in our comments on some of our videos, people thought it was a lame IPO. I saw somebody saying, why are they taking the money to pay down debt I think people wanted something sexier. I think that's what we said, like, them buying another company or so on. But I think they're really positioned well right now, in terms of just the overall market and us moving forward. So just a little background. You guys can check the Atlantic video if you want for more in detail analysis. But they're basically a major hardware company. They are a wholesaler and retailer. That's a crucial bit. And they supply a couple thousand products, like different products, ranging from like.
But they're mainly wholesaler though, right?
They're mainly a wholesaler. Yes, mainly a wholesaler.
Yeah,
that's true. And they
so
range from.
they sell to the hardware stores versus like you as a regular smaller person who say, "Oh, I want some tarpaulin." It's not like they're the hardware store that you go to buy tarpaulin from. It's more like much larger orders, if I understand that correctly.
Very true. And in the prospectus, I remember it saying that they have over 1,000 repeat customers across Jamaica. And in those customers include hardware stores, as you're talking about, contractors, developers, and, actual retail consumers as well. And some of the products that they have, they said it was a couple thousand from what I remember, ranging from like plumbing supplies, power tools, building materials. So we're talking like lumber, steel, cement, zinc, those kind of stuff. They have like doors and flooring and garden and lawn items and stuff like that. So they're also uniquely positioned because they're right by the port, like in Kingston.
The Kingston.
So they're the Kingston port. That's where their warehouse is. So it's cost effective in terms of importing the material and for distribution as well. They've been around for quite a number of years, and they actually built a reputation for competitive pricing and getting what they call hard to get items, positioning themselves as like a partner to a lot of smaller hardware outlets and just builders nationwide. So I think they came to market late last year, from what I remember. And
yeah, I think so.
How I kind of envision speaking about a lot of this.
Actually, it was early this year. No, it was early this year.
This year?
Yeah, I think they were. I think what they had said was that they were trying to do it from. Like, I think they were initially planning to list or become a public company. Because I see the prospectus from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. It said February the 20th, 2025. End of February,
Yeah, I remember because I was leaving the island, or was I even in that? I don't remember. But yeah, I remember. I wasn't in the island at that time. And yeah, I mean, I envision like the recovery and the turnaround and like the cleanup. Well, in terms of like short term, medium term, and maybe long term. So like short term recovery efforts, I would say are, one, it's people need like tarpaulin because their roofs are gone and they just need cover and protection from the outside elements like water and stuff like that, right? So and they do sell tarpaulin. People need, and I just have to think of immediate needs. So like generators, I think they also sell they definitely also sell generators. And people do have light, a lot of light poles. I don't know if I know you haven't been on that side of the island, but there are communities and places where there are no standing light poles. Like all of them are down. And so that's going to take, I've seen even some articles speak about people getting back lights not until like next year, as far as next year. So generators will go a long way as well. And I'm just thinking of other things like hand tools, maybe like chainsaws and stuff like that. Maybe water pumps and stuff like that. I think those are the immediate needs. So when I think of short-term cleanup needs, which companies stand to benefit from, selling a lot of those products? And I do think that Atlantic is positioned because they also have a large inventory of tools and equipment and things like that. And I remember they're an authorized distributor of a lot of like name brand. I can't even think of the name brand. I'm not in that industry. I remember is it Black and Decker is one, and Generac generator. Stanley I know is a certain tools as well too, and other tools. And then I think about other areas. So now that's short term. Now I think about like medium term rebuilding. Now, how do you rebuild kind of in the medium term? For me, that's repairing roofs, right? And when you're repairing a lot of roofs, like if it's medium term, I'm not necessarily saying long term, more like medium term. I know there might be a zinc shortage in Jamaica right now. So I'm thinking of some of the things that they sell, like lumber and zinc and those type of stuff. So repairing roofs, replacing plumbing, maybe even rewiring buildings and so on. So, plumbing supplies, maybe some electrical supplies, those type of things. Then the company has just like a broad catalog of things from like, rebar and like pipes and things like that to, other things. They just have a ton of like even fixtures. I think they also even sell things like paint. Correct me if I'm wrong. So they can supply contractors and like hardware stores and so on with. It's just like a one-stop shop for reconstruction projects. And then when I think about more long-term reconstruction, or long-term, maybe reconstruction is not the right word, maybe resilience. When you think of how I've seen a lot of people speak about, and I don't know if these are architects or so on, but I see a lot of people speak about more concrete, more slab roofs, stronger plumbing systems, those kind of things, maybe like water tanks and so on. So Atlantic's role as a wholesale distributor, I think, is very pivotal, because they also have a lot of foreign supplier relationships, across just globally. So US, Asia, etc., Latin America. So they can import like bulk construction materials and so on, as a wholesale distributor. And when you look, I think the government said it's what, a trillion, 1.1 trillion Jamaican, or I think that's about 8 billion US, 7 to 8 billion US dollars in damage from Hurricane Melissa. So in my opinion, the construction industry is not like a short-term thing. Like I think even companies like Atlantic could see a multi-year demand boom as Jamaica not only rebuilds what was lost, but also invests in more resilient upgrades, like underground utilities, stronger buildings, etc. Those things that require continuous hardware supply. So if they secure customers, and the customers are happy with the products that they get from them, and they're happy with that kind of relationship with Atlantic and so on, that could be those are long-term partnerships that you're building. So you could see them supplying those customers long term. So yeah.
All I would say, it's I think it's a good time to own a hardware store, or own a hardware store that sells to other hardware stores.
Yeah.
Because I don't think as you mentioned, the damage is very serious, and people need a lot of these supplies to rebuild and stuff. And there were already a lot of, I guess, development projects that were going on in Jamaica anyway before this. So I guess some of them could be slowed down by what happened with the hurricane, but and I don't think it's not going to be the last hurricane. It's really just a question of when is the next hurricane, how severe will it be, how can we try to, I guess, be more, build our buildings and our drainage and those things in like a more resilient way, as you mentioned. But yeah, point is there's going to be a lot of demand for a lot of construction related items. So I guess even for me, it's like, I thought like how we do it is, what would, like, all of the things that you said basically heavily impact a lot of different companies. So it's kind of like, okay, what is it that makes you choose one over the other? Because I guess you could
Mhm.
choose the style where you say, okay, I'm just going to buy all 10, 15, and I just think they're all going to go up, or, you know, some will go up, some will go down, but overall, I think it's going to go up. But I think, you know, your job as an investor, if you will, depending, because you could do that thesis that you mentioned. So it would be nice, like, imagine someone building like a construction fund. And it's just, okay, a fund that builds or
An
just
index fund.
buys. Yeah, like it just, so it's a stock that you can buy, and the stock buys stocks in other stocks. So it will buy stocks in Carib Cement, in Atlantic Hardware, in Lumber Depot, all those different sons. That'd be
Yeah, that's
interesting.
what
But
they
I
would
think,
call the construction index. So that's kind of how a lot of those funds work. It's just particular sector, particular grouping, and as you said. But yeah, continue your point, bro.
Yeah, but I was just saying that, like, I guess you could do one person's strategy could be, hey, I'm just gonna buy all of them. Just split my money up, say it's 10. Then you say, okay, I'm gonna just put 10% in each, lock my eye and buy, and you know. Or you could say, hey, let me try to look into, some of them may benefit more than others. You know, that's what I was thinking, like, what is it that would make me buy this one over this one, or what would make me put more money in this one? Like, do I think this one is going to do better than this one because, oh, they have better distribution partnerships, or they're, yeah, I don't know, like they have more products and I'm expecting more demand for this product, so I would buy this one because I then expect that. There's a lot of different things, I guess, to think about with that regard.
You know, it would be pretty sick, because you kind of jolted my memory, or just a thought on something. I think Atlantic is actually uniquely positioned to acquire a smaller hardware distributor, to extend its reach, because just where it's located right now is in Kingston and the port. Now, I'm thinking that, you know, let's say you own a hardware store in, you know, Westmoreland, the other side of the island, or even St. James. Let's say Mobay on the other port, right? You own a hardware store close somewhere in Montego Bay, and you know, it was badly damaged by the hurricane and so on. And I think this is just how a lot, you know, this is capitalism. They're very opportunistic. They might be willing to sell that hardware store. I think in terms of mergers and acquisitions, Atlantic could be uniquely positioned to acquiring a smaller rural, well, Mobay isn't really rural, but hardware distributor, just to extend its reach to the other side of the island. And when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because now that's an easier pathway for them to get products across to that side, to the western side of the island. They could, it would be right by the port as well. So it's easier to import. They already have the network and so on, and it would just be a wholesaler and retailer buying a retailer. When you think about it, it's almost like if Atlantic were to just buy out lumber, or you know, another lumber somewhere else or something like that. So I think it's something to look out for, because they don't have much debt now, because you know, a lot of the IPO proceeds were used to clear existing debt. And if you look under their balance sheet, they, in terms of the liabilities, I'm looking at it now, but the long-term liabilities have dropped significantly. Like if you look at it from the 30th of June 2024, you see current portion of long-term liabilities at 410 million, and this year it's 110 million. So in terms of just those liabilities have dropped significantly. They also have that tax break now, which is good, so they can take on more debt if you think about it. So with that, who knows, maybe, and then you're looking at their long-term liabilities have almost halved from last year, from 961 million to 506 million. So when you just think about those kind of things, you know, they can take on debts, they can take on they can take on certain loans, and suppose they use that money to buy another company. I think it's possible for them to expand that way. So, I mean, let's see. The only thing I worry about though, is how agile are they? Because, if you're gonna import a lot of these items, number one, the Jamaican dollar has been relatively stable, but any sort of depreciation would kind of raise Atlantic's cost of inventory. Like when you think about it, if the Jamaican dollar is valued less, right, you have to convert your dollars to USD because you're buying in USD. You have to buy these items, these construction items in USD, or if it's in China or so on. So if the dollar depreciates for some reason, it's gonna be more expensive to do that. And then, they're kind of a middleman when you think about it. So Atlantic's margins, they could be squeezed if it can't pass on the higher import costs, and so on, due to maybe like government pressure. I think the only good thing is that the government has reduced, I think, import tax and GCT. I don't know if it's reduced or cut it completely. I think they cut it completely on certain items for relief. So they could see a widening in terms of the margins for them. Like when you think about it, that could make them much more profitable if they don't have to pay like import tax and they don't have to pay GCT on some of those items. So they could be in this short-term phase, in this quarter, you possibly might see a huge bump in profits. Let's see. It's just something I started to think about.
When you said next quarter, because the next report that's due, I say is the July, August, September. So then you're saying the quarter or the quarter, October, currently. November, December, which would be their final year. And I think so you'd say that basically early next year, you're saying?
Early next year.
You'd expect them to report. Oh, okay.
Sometime in Q1 next year, we'll see their report. And I do expect a very good report, like a very, very good report. So let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what would make you, I mean, okay, so which ones, I think we should just be straight, because the ones that I was thinking were construction. So Atlantic Hardware that you mentioned, Berger Paints,
Okay, you want to jump into? Oh, you just go.
No, just want to go down the line. Cargo handlers.
Okay.
Fosrich.
Yeah.
Kingston Wharves.
JFP maybe.
Well, I didn't. Well, that's what I was saying. On my list, I didn't have JFP. Lumber Depot.
I don't
Omni.
Really have a specific list like that, but yeah, Omni.
Oh, and then Paramount Traders Limited.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we need to touch on all. I guess we can touch on all of them, but I was really just considering the major players, the ones strictly in construction. But you're right, construction adjacent companies should be mentioned in this episode. So, okay.
Well, I was just once again. First I just wanted to list them out because I'm just thinking, okay, which ones out of that do I think would basically give the greatest gain, and like why, basically.
Well, let's touch on.
You already mentioned a lot of the points with Atlantic. The only other point I'd probably point out was that it's a pretty
tightly held stock.
Yeah, it's a pretty tightly held stock. I know you're gonna
say that. Yeah, man.
So, and I'm also interested to see if I saw some recent trades, like some large volume trades, like over 15 million on a single day, 6 million and whatnot. So I was wondering if, because I remember Lumber Depot, which is another listed company, which Lumber owns part of Atlantic Hardware. I remember I think Lumber may have bought after the IPO or in the IPO. Yeah, I think I say based on this, they increased their stake by like 5%. I was wondering if they would continue to buy after the company like became public,
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that was, part of those more recent buys. And yeah, that's part of the other. And then the other thing I would think about, because that's one of the reasons why Atlantic would probably be one of the ones that I'd be like a top pick that would benefit the most, because okay, it's not like a higher stock value, like when you say, oh, $100. Yes, we know that a $1 stock could technically be cheaper than a $100 stock because based on the amount of shares that are issued and whatnot. But people generally, I guess it's easier for the price to move for a $1 stock versus a $100 stock, because there's almost like a psychological thing of, oh, people might think, oh, the $100 stock is like more expensive or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So even though like Carb Cement, which is, we mentioned before, they're the only manufacturer of cement in Jamaica. They were already at max capacity for a while. Then they finished the upgrade, I think either maybe a few months ago. Yeah, finished the upgrade of their facility to be able to produce like 30% more cement. And so I was kind of comparing them to Atlantic. But I feel like I'd probably more buy Atlantic partly because of the dollar value thing that I mentioned before. Yeah, so that's why. And then I guess also like Berger actually did a pretty big upgrade last year, so they would be probably one of the ones I'd consider too. So like for me so far, it'd be like Atlantic, Berger. I don't know if you had any other considerations or any other points.
Well, I wanted to talk about each a bit more before I say which ones I would pick. But I agree with you with Atlantic, and that's kind of why I wanted to touch on Atlantic first, because I think just in terms of how they make money, they're uniquely positioned to make a lot of money in this time period. And you've already even seen and of course it's a tightly held stock, as we speak about. Like, we like companies like that are very much tightly held. So it's easy for the stock price to move, and there are not many shares like that.
I think we should explain that. What do you mean when you say tightly held?
Yeah, so well, I guess we can look at the top 10. So I don't know if you want to bring up the top 10, but in terms of the top 10, you want to see, what's the total ownership of the company by people in the top 10, basically. And so you want to see what percentage of shares are out there in the general public. Firstly, it's a junior market stock, so you already know the limits in terms of how much a junior market company can raise. The upper limit at the time that they were listed was 500 million Jamaican dollars that they can raise in their initial public offering. So you already know, smaller company because it's a junior market. And then you look at the total ownership by the top owners, and I'm seeing here 93% from My Money JA. 93% is in the top 10. All right. Oh wow! Look, Lissant Mitchell is number 10. Yeah, you can. I'm seeing JMMB sold. Well, I don't think there's previous data for this, is there? Because the previous data would have been from IPO, like before IPO. But you can see that Lumber increased their stake and so on. So what I mean by tightly held is it's harder to get shares. It's almost like there's some level of scarcity. So it's easier for the price to move in either direction. Because if there are a lot of shares out there and it's heavily traded every day and so on, if Preston comes with $1 million and says, all right, I want some shares now, just buy from the queue. It doesn't matter the price, we'll just buy, right? And if it's very tightly held, the price can move significantly. Whereas compare that to a company like Trans Jamaica Highway, which is the daily
I was even saying
value
Lumber
traded.
Depot. Like Lumber Depot is Lumber Depot is at about 70%. So basically, because the thing is, how I see it is that the top 10 people usually, if you notice, like a lot of them will not really trade that much. So I guess a lot of times the top 10 people will hold their shares and not really sell. So basically, what will cause the price to move is more the people not outside of the top 10, or not the larger shareholders or the top shareholders. So if those people who own a lot of the company are not willing to sell, that they just buy it and they'll hold it for maybe 5-10 more years, or just never sell it within their lifetime, then if there is something that then makes people want the company because the company's good things are happening to the company. People feel really nice about the company. They're seeing record profits or, whatever reason. Then there's just a limited amount of shares because those top 10 people maybe aren't selling, or those larger shareholders aren't selling.
Yeah.
So if you have high demand, low supply, share price is going to go up and you make money.
And the share price has gone up. I don't know if you want to show the graph, but October, let's say Hurricane Melissa hit the 28th of October. I think trading resumed the 30th of October, and only 3 trades happened that day, and they closed at 89 cents on that day. And then you're talking now on Friday, it closing at $1.45. 100 trades happened that day, and it was about 5.9 million units were traded. So you're seeing already the growth. It's kind of leveled off now, but I mean that's just based on this graph. But you can see that it has already gone up. Now, can it grow? Can it go more? Well, that's based on your analysis, but my analysis, I definitely think this has room to grow. Definitely think this has more room to grow, especially in the medium to long term recovery period that I was talking about for Jamaica, and how I think that they can continue these partnerships, and we have a lot more in terms of construction to go. Yeah. So yeah, that's. I mean, we've spent like a long time on Atlantic, but definitely one of my stocks that I'll be watching. And yeah, let's touch on another stock. I don't know if you want to bring up another one. I know you mentioned Berger. Is that what you want to talk about now?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, Berger, I guess what I know is that they were going through some tough times. A few years ago, they were doing really, really well, record profits. But I think over the last few years, they were kind of having some issues, and then they had like some change in managers and stuff like that, because there's like a parent company. I think it's based in Trinidad, if I'm not wrong, or at least another Caribbean country or so. I think it's Ansa Macal, because they bought control of the company a few years back. Company was doing really well. Then bam, they started kind of going through some tough times. I don't remember specifically what was happening with them. I just know that they went from record profits to less profits to even losses. All right. And as I said, management and stuff had to be kind of changed out. And I was looking at them because they were mentioning there were these upgrades to their factory, because they actually manufacture some of their paints here. I'm pretty sure they manufacture some of their paints, or they have, if they don't manufacture it, they have like some sort of machines and stuff like that, or they do some parts of the processing here. And basically, I remember reading, because they were talking about that they were upgrading that, and they would be able to produce like a lot more paint. And I remember I even went to a few months ago, I'd gone to the Jamaica Manufacturers Expo or something like that, or yeah, I think it's a JMEA or something expo. And then they had a booth there, and I was actually talking to the dude there, a guy there. I don't remember his name, sadly. And he was like telling me about the whole thing of, there are like these different types of paints, like he was saying. I think it's called the trowel on paint or something like that, where it's this style where it kind of looks, I don't know how to describe it. Like it looks like it's not like just flat, like, oh, if you had a wall, it doesn't just look flat. It's almost like there's these depressions, but it's like a style that he was telling me that it's like in demand. I could probably try to I want to show a picture of it on screen. But like he was explaining to me that that's apparently one of the paints that a lot of people like people really like the design. And how they were basically upgrading. I don't know if you can see my screen. You notice how this one is like, it's textured basically.
Yeah.
Like it's, yeah. So that's
it's
actually
textured,
the paint. It's not the wall. So it's almost like the wall could be flat, and then the paint makes it look like that. And he was basically saying that that's like the style it's basically in-demand paint, and they were upgrading their ability. I think he had said it was doubling it or something. So I was just like, wow, double? Like, are you serious? And I was like, are you saying? And then like I asked him again, I was like, are you saying what I think you're saying? You're not just saying, like, you're saying the double and it's a high demand paint. And he was like, yes. So I think, we mentioned that, okay, yes, Atlantic and the other stuff, you're going to need cement and other stuff, but people, you just, if you build up the wall with cement, you want to paint it, ideally, So I think they will see increased demand and stuff. And I think they're already seeing a lot of demand and stuff like that. So I think this will be somewhat of a good catalyst for them once they can remain competitive. Because I know that there's like stuff like paint and things are imported. So they're going to try to I guess have a good, try to be competitive with the price. But I think they
also opened up a store recently, haven't they? I think maybe a year now or so in or two in Mobay. There's a Fairview retail store and so on, which increased their retail sales decent bit. So I know they already, if they have that store in Mobay, that's already on the western end of the island too. So if it also would help them with sales, and especially like water damage. I mean, I've looked through a lot of the houses that have been damaged by burial, and you do see the paint damage from water. When the water actually seeps within and forms like pockets within paint and so on. So yeah, I think they are also positioned to
maybe a good marketing campaign, huh? They could talk about how their paints can help with, I don't know.
Maybe
they could say, hey, our paint is very resilient against storms. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of special paint or something they could do.
Yeah.
I was already, as I said, I was looking at them from before all of this, so I just see this possibly doing better for them.
And they have,
and the nominal value isn't as high too, I guess.
It's called Berger has a paint, Berger Weatherproof Ultra, because it's if you Google it, you see it. It provides a tough, weather-resistant decorative finish on concrete.
So I say, they should be pushing that marketing now. I was never pushed. Well, I guess when things over time, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know if now is the time, person. I don't know. I'm not in the marketing industry, so I don't really know. Because on one hand, on one hand, your products are good, and we're still in hurricane season and so on. So some people can benefit from it, but it may be in bad taste. I don't really know.
I think it's just how you do it. Because like I see on the website, it says here, excellent durability against harsh tropical weather. Withstand the effects of wind, rain, sun over a longer time frame. They could do something, that ad everyone knows, the glass. Alcor, windows and doors, and then they have those little something. And then I think there's one where like they show something with a storm. I mean, Berger, I don't know. Just ideas. But
no, you're right.
So I think they.
And it's not just that, like the coating's protective too. So I know it's used in just infrastructure on a whole. Like I know they use it on like my brother and Damien works with like those in that industry. So for coating of like marine structures and ships and bridges and stuff like that. So I guess we can see. I don't know. We'll see what Berger does. They're a weird stock for me though, because it's just, I don't know, I can't really always predict Berger. And I remember having a conversation once with like Danai about Berger and so on. It's just a very interesting stock. But let's see what they do.
Why is it interesting how?
Just how it trades. And I need to just do a bit deep of a dive. But I know I think they paid a dividend this year too, and so on. So
well, I don't know. I don't think anyone's talking about it. It was a hot stock at one point, and now it's kind of fallen off. When I'm looking at the charts, I
remember them making a loss in this quarter last year.
Oh no!
Which is the July to September quarter.
Well, actually, no. Last year was their profitable. Last year was almost a return to profit. I don't know. Well, 2024, I say 105 million profits. Profits were up 148% because the year before, 2023, it was over $200 million loss. It was a wicked loss. They've never had a loss like that before. Their best year yet was 300 million profits. So last year wasn't so bad. I don't know if it was.
I was just talking about the July to September quarter for them. I know they had a loss that quarter, but their Q4 is usually good because
if they drop a nice profit now, it'd look even better.
True, it would. Am I anticipating that? No. But especially this, so that December quarter where everybody, true, that December quarter, everybody paints their house and so on, and people start, decorations, and you say, all right, let's redo this and redo that, and people have time off and so on. So I think that's why their Q4 is usually so good. But because you can see it even in revenues too, like their highest revenues are always Q4. Last year I think they had like 1.2.
Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, it's way higher. That's a typical thing? Yeah, they did 1 point quarter four for the quarter 4 2024 last year. They did 1.2 billion in revenue. The other quarters were all under 800 mil. So that's over 50% higher sales in that fourth quarter. Damn. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
certain companies are seasonal.
Suppose to drop a quarter 3. So I wouldn't mind if the quarter 3 is a loss.
Same.
If it is something that's like it's not something that's what would you say? It's repeatable. So I'd read it to say, hey, what's going on? Like if they drop the quarter 3, it's a loss, but they're like, hey, this was the reason why, and I think that it's something that wouldn't happen again, or is less likely to happen. And then okay, I'm looking into the quarter 4 in addition. But I guess it'd be interesting to see like how would their demand. Yeah. So yes, the hurricane happened, and you're gonna start building back, and you may want paint, and you may end up wanting Berger paint. But I'm also wondering, like, okay, there's a lot of things to think about. Well, as I said, I think it's one to keep.
Yeah. I mean, look how far they've been coming from, in terms of like stock price. They were like $15, $18 even before
$20.
like COVID.
2018 and $20, they're now $6. And now I feel like you could even get some units at $5. Maybe get some units at $5. Nice.
And this is their first dividend that they've paid, from what I'm seeing, in a long time, in years. When was the last time they paid a dividend? 2019, before this year. So yeah.
Just a sign of recovery, maybe.
Maybe. Another one to watch. Berger, not a bad pick at all. Good thinking, Preston. The next stock I think I want to talk about, I actually don't know which stock I want to talk about. Out of all the ones you said, I think we can talk about like maybe carb cement, or no, or actually let's talk about lumber since we're on Atlantic. I kind of want to keep them together. So Lumber Depot, it's easier to contrast lumber with Atlantic because they have similar ownership structure, meaning it's still like Musson affiliated companies, PB Scott, etc. I think Stony Hill Cap, but lumber specifically they're a retailer in terms of hardware. So they're a hardware retailer, and they're focused on, of course, construction materials.
Hence they have one branch too. Very simple in Papine.
One branch in Papine. They also sell a lot of products to extensive inventory. I remember the CEO at the time used to speak very strongly about having a lot of different inventory items. And I'm just there wondering, where are all those things going to go, bro? And he wanted more and so on. But yeah, they have a lot of different hardware supplies and so on. And it's a simpler business, as you say, because it's just one shop. And
that was really holding them back. Because if I've been to lumber multiple times, and it's because the place itself isn't that big. If you go in, sometimes it's hard. Like even reversing, sometimes when I had to reverse, it's like you have to be careful not to hit someone or this other car coming out. It was very, very hard to navigate. So I think they bought, is either they are in the process of, or they're buying a neighboring area like right beside them. So which they've been talking about for years. Like they were always saying, we need to expand. We're going to acquire a company. That was like almost 2 or 3 years ago. And yeah, finally they're doing the thing. Yeah,
I agree. Let me see if I can. I don't know how to send you this but there is a Gleaner article. I don't know if you can
I'm
find
sending in the
it.
chat here. Or
For some
what's the
reason, I
title of the
can't.
article?
The
What's
the
the title?
title is Lumber to Expand Operating Base as Business Grows. Actually, no, not that one. Lumber Depot confirms new property purchase. That's the one. And this was October 29, 2025. And you're right, yeah, they confirmed plans to acquire property on Gordon Town Road, adjacent to its existing full-service hardware in Papine. So they plan to complete the property acquisition by, they said, the end of October 2025. But we haven't gotten well, I don't think I've seen a notice of them actually acquiring it. Just to say the acquisition is fully done.
So this is a notice to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Lumber Depot makes strategic property acquisition. This was posted October the 27th, 7:15 a.m. So this it has entered into an agreement to purchase property. It says, yeah, adjacent to the current hardware store, land and buildings suitable for commercial use. Oh, awesome. It would be nice if they told. I wish they'd tell you stuff like, well, I guess depending on how you view it, you could actually go down there and see
the size.
Yeah, I was wondering because they don't. Well, hold on. Into agreement. This is 7. Oh, they do actually say the exact. Yeah, you could look there and see the actual square footage because it'd be interesting to see. Is it? Well, you could actually Google Maps it. Wow.
True. That's what you do all the time. You just Google Maps the actual location.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pull it up now. Come on, is it? I wonder if it's bigger than if it's bigger than the existing one. Let me try the satellite. Yeah, you can continue in the meantime while I find it.
Sure, no problem. But I think the thing with Lumber is, so they're located in Kingston, in Papine, right? And Kingston wasn't as heavily affected by Hurricane Melissa. So I don't anticipate the demand. Actually, no, I disagree with that. Sorry. I do. So there is still demand for Lumber's products. Even people providing aid to, communities and homes on the western side of the island. A lot of the hardware stores they're buying from are from Kingston. And so I think that Lumber definitely does stand a chance to make a lot of money from this as well, to sell a lot of products, I should say. Based on the type of products that they sell, it's still a lot of type of products, but it's still things for like roofing. It's like similar type of products to Atlantic, although Atlantic has a much wider range, but they're a much bigger company. But yeah, same tarpaulin, plywood, those kind of stuff. Maybe generators, nails, and basic tools, those kind of things that people need. It's very similar in terms like Atlantic, but the difference is it's just one retail store versus Atlantic. Atlantic is a wholesaler, so they also sell to a lot of companies like a Lumber Depot. So that's the main difference between the two. I'm seeing that you possibly found the location on Google Maps.
Yeah, I think it may be. So I see here Lumber Depot. This is saying 17C Gordon Town. And then I see a place called Knight's Meat and Food Distribution. That's also saying 17C Gordon Town. And then the notice said 17C. So they're, well, no, this is saying 17 Gordon Town. They're saying Lumber is at 17C, but so yeah, I think it may be this place, the Knight's Meat and Food Distribution. Yeah, I guess you could call them if you want to, yeah. But yeah, seeing them here. So yeah, I think it may be them. Could I guess check their social media and other stuff to see if they're still. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's definitely good for them. Like they think I've needed this for a while. There's a limit to how much they can do through a single location and stuff. So I think they've long reached that limit. So I think it's good for them. So I think they're fine. The market is finally loving them.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't actually. I need to look at the stock price again, but I know Lumber is in top 10 for Atlantic, so they own about 30%, almost 30%, 29% of
I don't think. Wait, I
Atlantic.
think when the IPO. No, I think when it's I remember they got diluted when. It's
No,
so
but they
much.
bought afterwards, Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they own they still own a
Yeah,
decent
it's
chunk.
29% up to June this year. Yeah, my bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, they also stand to gain. And I don't know, man. Like I actually want to see this close. I think a lot of people are waiting on Lumber to buy another location, not just like right there, but like somewhere in a different area altogether. Uh, instead of just being in Papine, maybe it's another
Well, I mean,
area.
they bought into Atlantic, and Atlantic goes to other areas, so
True.
people got what they wanted, right?
Agreed. No,
Just
you're
maybe not
very
to the
right.
exact form.
But you're very right, and it
I
was
don't
a
even think
great
there was
acquisition.
Was there much reaction to when, like, did the market really react when Lumber announced that they bought Atlantic?
No,
I don't think so.
And they made a lot of money off of Atlantic because they bought it for cents on the dollar.
Nice.
Like
nice.
that was a great acquisition, and then they bought in the IPO too. So you could actually see them making more money. So a good acquisition from Lumber. Good acquisition from Lumber. So
yeah,
I guess.
So keep buying.
Keep buying. But yeah, just another one of the companies that I think stand to gain, just similarly to Atlantic as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about Lumber like that. In terms of the stock price, it has also reacted since the hurricane. I'm gonna try and pull up Lumber right now.
I'll do it.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, look at that increase. Same timeline. So when I was saying October 30th, it was $2.88. A week before that, it was $2.53, and now it's trading at $3.70 is when it closed on November 7th.
How much percent is that in the let me see.
Maybe 30%, but I'm doing this off the top of my head.
In the last month, that's from October 9th to now, it's 45%. Wow.
Whew, what a gain.
Yeah.
What a gain.
And think about it, you could have bought it. I'm trying to remember when they had announced that they bought Atlantic, because they had announced it. I think it had, like, people had kind of started liking it, but then it just kind of, because see, this was May 2024. May 2024. Think about that. This was May 21st, 2024. Let me see. I think I can track that to see how much you could have bought or how much you could have gained. Wait, I said 21st, right?
Articles.
It's gone up. Well, actually, it's funny. Look at that. It's gone up. Well, no, I guess that would have been before. Yeah, so since May 21st. Oh, no, this is 2025 I had. Oops. Need to put 20. So May 21st till now, it's gone up 42%. And most of that is within, like, the last month. So you could have said, wait, if they're buying this person, which is someone who sells, and I think Atlantic even sells to Lumber. So it was almost like, hey, this is a person who we used to get products from. Let's buy a stake in them. Let's buy a piece of them. They become us, basically. And then, yeah, we'll eat some money off of that. And look at that. You could have bought when that was announced. So you would have been up, well, I guess after fees, you would have been up 40% on your money. You know, it's like a year and a half. Not bad, right?
Not bad at all.
But would have you could have just patience. It's just patience, really.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just those companies specifically, like Lumber and Atlantic. Yeah, they stand to gain. They definitely stand to gain pretty.
I mean, there's other ones too, like cargo handlers. I'm sure, because cargo handlers, they they own a part of a company that imports cement, which is buying house cement. I think it's maybe like 20 or 30% or something like that. And
30%, yes.
And that's more like on the west side. And I'm sure the west side was hit pretty hard. So they will need cement and other things. And then cargo handlers also deals with like a port over there. And I'm sure you're gonna have to import other stuff and whatnot. So I expect them to do pretty well too.
When you say the deals with the port, what do you mean by that? Because I think they actually, well, I don't know if you can find the announcement, but it's Kingston Wharves that acquired parts of the port.
Parts of them, yeah. Well, I think they bought parts of cargo handlers. 27%. Yeah.
But I think as also, cargo handlers, outside of them doing their things on the port, I think it's called stevedoring or so on. And they also do, I think they lease equipment too as well, but the cement importing is the major focus for this episode. So the revenue, I know, is split between like port services, investment income from buying house cement limited, and so on. So I do think they do stand to gain, especially just where they are on that western side of the island. So
and it's very tightly held. The top 10 owns 97% of the company. Think about that. If any good stuff if anything that gets retail investors excited and this happens, it's gonna,
I'm just wondering how that section, like the port services, has been affected by the hurricane. Because I can't imagine that would have been negatively impacted.
It could be, definitely could be. Definitely could be. Because that side of the island was hit pretty hard. So
I drove past Pier 1. Don't know if you know Pier 1. Like a touristy area, and people par and like there are a lot of parties and so on there. Pier 1 looked like it's no more, man. Like it looked significantly damaged, like significantly. And that's just me driving past. I didn't actually stop by and go in and so on, but just by looking, it looked really, really bad. So I mean, I'm just wondering how the port is and all of those stuff. But I guess you'll get updates as the government.
Down there. You could be serious.
I'll see if I'm down there again this week. If I'm doing more relief work. But you're right. That's another company to look out for as well. A company I was thinking of, and I did mention it, is also Carb Cement. I think Carb Cement, because we're just talking about cement on a whole. I think Carb Cement does stand to gain very much significantly, because they're basically they're the sole cement manufacturer in Jamaica. Like buying house cement, they import, right? But the different blends and the cement that's manufactured here is really just Carb Cement. And they operate by the plant in Kingston, I think it's Rockfort. And I mean, their revenue comes from domestic cement sales mainly. So it's I think almost all of the sales, basically all the sales, let's call it almost all of the sales is domestic sales. It's just for Jamaica. And then they supply most of Jamaica's cement market. Like I think over 95% of our local market is supplied by Carb Cement. There's only a tiny amount that's supplied elsewhere with maybe imports and so on. But the company also sells bulk cement to concrete producers and so on. And through like distributors like hardware stores and construction depots, so like a Lumber, like a Atlantic, and so that's basically how they make money. They've been making a lot of money this year, though, from what I remember. Like a decent food. I need to actually take a look at it, but they are pretty profitable this year. I don't know if you can find it for me, just to see how their profits have been going this year.
Yeah. But, so far, well, so far in the year, like it's 3 quarters. Well, the quarter 2 was weak. Quarter 3 was pretty strong. So I'm not sure if they'll pass. So last year was their best year yet.
Mm-hmm.
They did like just about 6 billion in profits. The year before it was like 5.5. And so far this year they're at 4.8. So if this quarter four is really good, which is the October, November, December period, they could end up, surpassing last year, which was a record year. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I need to pull up those numbers. But even the stock price has moved from like what are they trading at now? $91. Holding firm at $91. Somebody stop selling. Or certain entities stop selling. But I think, cement being the foundation of rebuilding, literally, after Hurricane Melissa, demand for cement that's going to be surging as Jamaica undertakes this massive reconstruction of like homes. And you think of all the properties that have been damaged, not just homes, it's schools, hospitals, roads, utilities, stuff like that. So even short term, the cement consumption should jump for like emergency works. So if you're casting like a retaining wall or securing up some foundation, repairing things like, I don't know if like bridges and roads and things like that, because I've seen some destruction even in Kingston of roads, like the road to Hollywell. It's gone, right? There parts of that road is gone, and I can't even imagine. And that's just Kingston. Imagine the roads on the other side of the island. Like I've seen the road between, I think it's like Manchester to Montego Bay, there was some damage, and in like Trelawney and so on, there are a lot of areas that are damaged. And then medium term, as people try to rebuild houses and like commercial structures and so on, you need cement. Every project requires concrete. Like almost every project requires concrete. So if it's laying new foundation for destroyed buildings, or like pouring it into like columns and stuff like that, slabs for a roof, I think that's going to be a big push. A lot of people I've seen have spoken about having slab roofs, and they're expected to convert like some different types of roof, whether it's wooden roof or zinc roof. I know a slab of course is way more expensive, but I think a lot of people, the people that can afford it, will start to make those kind of changes to their home infrastructure and so on. So yeah, I mean, I think they're uniquely they're the best position to meet that spike in demand, especially now that their inventory has increased by 30%. So they've increased how much they can their capacity, I should say, for cement by about 30%. So it comes at a good time where the country is going to need a lot of cement. And if they did export cement before, I don't see them exporting cement again for the next couple, for the next medium to long term, like next couple months, years even. So yeah,
it's good that they did the upgrade. It's good that they did that 30% upgrade. So it's coming handy.
Fortuitously timed, if I should say. Yeah. So let's see. But yeah, that's just it for Carib Cement. I'm not sure if there's anything I can think of.
I mean, Kingston Wharves. They run. Well, I think we mentioned them already.
Well, I was talking about Carib Cement, but yeah, we can move on to Kingston Wharves for sure.
Oh yeah, Kingston Wharves. Like, think about it. We are an island, and so there's certain things that we generally have to import, and we already had to import the stuff before, and then now we need relief. How are they going to send this relief? Yes, they can send it through planes, but for some of the stuff, we're going to have to send it through the wharf. And so you're going to need a lot of different supplies and items and other stuff that were damaged and you need replaced. The wharf, they're I think they're the wharf that most of our stuff go through, if I'm not mistaken. So they're going to get, a lot of demand. And they were already doing a lot of upgrades over the last few years in anticipation for this demand. And they're already, I think we're planning even more upgrades. So I just see,
Kingston
increase.
Wharf specifically, or the wharf?
Yeah.
in Kingston? Because
Kingston Wharves specifically was doing upgrades. I know they were doing upgrades.
No,
so
not the upgrades. Not it's just that if they're number one in terms of the imports in Jamaica, because at that area you have what's their competitor right next door called?
Kingston. I think Freeport Terminal.
Yeah, they're a bit bigger in terms of company size. I'm not sure. Well, they're a private company, so we can't know in terms of like revenues. I don't know. We'd have to do some deep dive, but I'm not sure if Kingston Wharf specifically is the biggest importer. But yeah, I know Kingston Freeport Terminal I think is larger by like square footage or just the amount of the size by the port.
Up, I think I had some data here at one of the time. Yeah, they're actually a lot larger. But I guess the only public one, I guess, that we can benefit
sorry to put you, but
yeah. But yeah, they do seem to be larger than them. But yeah, I think stuff are gonna go through the wharfs. Kingston Wharfs is one of these major wharfs. They're the only public Kingston one. So I expect them to have a lot more business. I think we also even mentioned like Omni before. Like they have a lot of, I think, like PVC piping and things like that. Their NWC is one of their major customers, or if not their largest. So with all of these, I'm sure there are lots of pipes and infrastructure. Roads are damaged. They're going to have to rebuild the roads. You're going to have to redo the piping. So I think they're going to experience a lot of increased demand too. And I think it's also Omni nice because Omni was a company that they had listed as well last year, I think. And then people were a bit disappointed in them. Like I think they had listed at $1 and a decent time it was trading. This year it was trading below $1. It even dropped to as low. I'm seeing close as low as like 56 cents, and then now it's back as like, because I think there was like a change in the view that people were like, oh no. And I think there some of the reports weren't so hot too, so people kind of fell off in people's eyes. And so now I don't know if it's that people say, hey, they could benefit heavily from this, so yeah, I think it's just like patience. Like if you were someone who saw that IPO and you're like, no, but NWC is one of their major customers. Jamaica has a lot of infrastructure upgrades to go, so I expect them to do this. I'll keep buying after IPO. You would have been, you'd have seen like, well, now I guess you'd say, hey, that was pretty smart to do.
True. And their pipes are used in a lot of things in construction too. It's not I know people think it's wiring, like especially in the electrical industry too. Like you definitely need pipes to protect a lot of those wires and so on. So they even produce, it's not just pipes too, they have a thing called alu-zinc as well that they do like roofing basically.
Construction
and
stuff,
it's a lot of stuff. I'm looking here now at some of my old notes on some of the things they do. Let me see if I can find it. But see, they have it as plastic buckets, crates, garden hoses,
door
plastic
locks,
houseware products,
kitchen items, garden hose, plumbing valves, toilets, PVC pipes, electrical conduits and fittings.
It's quite a few things they do just within construction. So I know a lot of people are thinking about those other, clear-cut construction companies like Lumber and Atlantic and so on, and we've seen them move, but I feel like a lot of people are missing out on Omni. Has Omni moved? I need to check if Omni has actually moved.
Yeah. They even have a part where they can sort by the popular items. Storm drain pipe. Storm drain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at but Omni has definitely jumped significantly. It was traded at 80 cents. Now it's $1.18. Ooh. Wow, would you look at that? That's another 30% or so. No, that's way more. Hold on. Let me take a look, because
percentage which time you can do so in the last 3 months it's up 49%.
Wow. Yeah, look
at last year,
July 17 8%. They're trading at 56 cents. Now they're $1.18. If you're astute and bought during that time, you're bingoing right now. I think NCB is the one that did that IPO. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so Omni is definitely another one to look at for sure in this industry. There's a lot more I need to go back and look through Omni a bit more, because there's a lot I'm remembering about the company now. I'm just like, yeah, this is a company I definitely had on a list when it started to drop. Okay, no problem. Did we mention any that we didn't really touch on? I don't know if we spoke too much about I don't know. Fosrich? Did we talk about Fosrich? I'm not sure if we really spoke about Fosrich in all of this. I think we mentioned this at the start, and maybe JFP. I think those are the last two companies I really wanted to touch on. Fosrich specifically, they do a lot of electrical work and so on. So they distribute electrical products, lighting, solar stuff as well, from what I remember, and hardware products. So they do have a lot of hardware products, and they have quite a few locations. I know there are a couple in Kingston. I know there's one in Mandeville. There's also one in Mobay, I believe, too. And I think I'm missing somewhere else, maybe Clarendon. I know their parent company had a thing in Clarendon as well. But their main thing is, electrical and solar. So, the industrial panels, the inverters. I know they're the sole distributor of, I think, Huawei inverters, batteries, breakers, those kind of stuff. So there's that. And then you have the hardware stuff. So like, I wonder if they compete with Omni in terms of like some of their piping. I need to check that out. But yeah, as I said, it's mainly like lighting stuff as well too. And I think, they do sell generators. They do also sell generators too. So, it's like, I don't know if you've ever been inside one of the stores, but they do have a wide range of products. So I think in terms of just relief and the medium term, in terms of like reconstruction and long term and so on, they would be uniquely positioned to also help out with a lot of those things. I think a lot of people are thinking about solar now more than ever, especially now that people don't have light from JPS and so on. They're looking for other ways of getting energy, and so I think solar is also another one that people are looking at. And then if you have like electrical rewiring of not just like homes and so on, but like even schools, people that have lost and suffered maybe water damage to internal wiring, you're gonna need some electrical work. And so I think they are positioned well for stuff like that. So I mean, let's see what they do. And the last company I wanted to touch on was just JFP. I'm wondering what JFP is doing. I know they're a manufacturer and distributor of like, it's Jamaica Fiberglass products, JFP Limited. And, a lot of their products used to be fiberglass reinforced products. I know they also do like roofing panels too. So you going to need that. And just other manufacturing, other construction projects they're a part of as well. I think they also do water tanks too, they also sell water tanks to like storage tanks and so on. So that's also something to look at. But I'm thinking of like, people need roofing. And when I think of like temporary roofing, because I think the fiberglass panels are also for temporary roofing, but people are gonna buy tarpaulin because it's cheaper. But in terms of water tanks, though, for sure need water tanks. definitely need water tanks and like roofing panels and so on. Because I think of even for a lot of those places that need that roofing panel, I'm thinking like greenhouses that were probably damaged, maybe like poultry sheds and so on. So they can, there's opportunity for them. There's definitely opportunity for them. I think they're a company that people have forgotten about, and you know, people aren't really talking as much about them and so on. And I actually can't tell the last time I looked at their stock recently. That's a lie.
I was just thinking of hotels. I think some of the hotels are damaged, and JFP does make a lot of the stuff for the hotels. I say on their website, they said they did stuff for Spanish Court Hotel, S Hotel, R Hotel, U Hotel, Blue Skies Beach Resort, Courtyard by Marriott, AC Hotel by Marriott, Rock Hotel. So I think if there were any of those hotels that were damaged, and you know, on the west side of the island, there are a lot of hotels. So it'd be interesting. You could look at that. You'd also look at the restaurants. They do a lot of stuff for restaurants. People like TGIF, Juicy, Tasty, Mother's, Wendy's, Starbucks. So if any of those restaurants were damaged, and if they were using JFP before, might as well use them again, right?
Or very true.
Once they're being competitive and such. So yeah, I think they will definitely get some increased business. So I hope that they are pushing now to say, hey, if you want to rebuild and stuff, because think about it. If a restaurant was damaged, like say it was in an area and people want food,
KFC,
and people love KFC. If the KFC is damaged, or say you're choosing between KFC or Popeyes or whatever other food place, the first one to build back, wouldn't they get the business first?
True.
So I would say, we need to sort this out. And then either way, like suppose you have KFC competing with, which other restaurant they said they do? KFC competing with,
I know they do Starbucks.
Not here.
Well, not restaurant, but yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'm just thinking, like, if they do, so imagine they do two other competitors. So the two competitors might be trying to build back because they're saying, hey, we're losing business. People want food. Let's build it up. JFP can be supplying both of them, maybe, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Because some of these compete with each other, right? Because I see, not directly like the same type of food, but Juicy versus Tasty, and they're both customers. So suppose there's a Juicy there and a Tasty there. It got damaged. They want to open it quick. It's not like you have to be investing in the Juicy itself or the Tasty itself. You can literally just invest in the company that sells to either one. So if either one build up first and whatever, either way JFP get paid, no?
Exactly. Either way they get paid.
So yeah, that's true. It'd be interesting. You could, I guess, if you go down on the ground, you could look at the different restaurants and you could say, okay, how fast are they building back? And you could even go to them or see, what if you see a JFP truck or something like that? You say, oh, JFP doing this, nice. Yeah. Yeah, lots of stuff to think about.
A lot to think about. Let us know what you guys think as well. Any companies you think we missed, please leave it in the comments down below. All right, we would love to hear what you guys have to say and what you guys think about some of the stocks that we spoke about. Any points that we missed out on? Yeah, I'd love to hear, and we would love to hear. But yeah, Preston, I think the rebuilding, I mean, we're in that phase now, of course, that acute phase in terms of just relief. But rebuilding doesn't just happen. It takes time. You get finance, get supplied, and some companies stand to win. Some companies definitely stand to lose in all of this. I think companies like Carb Cement and Lumber Depot and Atlantic, we spoke about our obvious contenders, and the market thinks that as well. But others like Omni or even like a JFP might surprise you if you understand where demand is shifting. And of course, always, guys, we're not here to tell you what to buy. We're not licensed financial advisors. We're just here to kind of show you how we think about the market, follow the money, understand the operating realities, and let's see what the story is saying. Let's see when the next few reports drop. We'll know who the winners and the losers are. But if you guys really enjoyed this episode, please hit that subscribe button, right? Smash that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that because we have goals we need to hit as well. just like you have portfolio goals. And don't forget to like it, please, guys. It does far away in the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for listening. You guys are all limit breakers, and we appreciate you each and every week. And like always, stay limitless.
Peace.